Okay, you are live.
We're live. All right, so 8 o'clock. Welcome to our planning board meeting. We're again doing it hybrid, and so in person and Zoom. We'll start off with our roll call. I guess we can just do around the table here, and then we'll include anyone on Zoom. So if you want to start us off.
Mike Capel, member. Terry Wade, alternate.
Nancy Knight, member.
Wendy Rathke, remember?
John Racine, member.
Bill Spence, member.
All righty, and in Zoom land.
Rob Wilson, alternate.
Is that Lisa?
Yes.
I think she's muted.
Lisa Reed, alternate.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, so we have Bill Larson absent, Rich absent.
Not Rich was gonna try and zoom
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but, okay.
He's on YouTube.
So Tara, please clarify for me for, in terms of doing this hybrid thing. Our one alternate present is Terry, so he's who I would seat because he's physically present. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't listen to how many full members you had present.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of us physically
in. We
here.
have a quorum.
So,
So we have
There's-
2 full members missing from being
yeah,
physically.
and there's no alternate. I'm just trying to think out loud a little bit. There's no alternate for the select board member, apparently. So you can't have more than 6 seated. That's just, but yes, you can appoint somebody who's present to be an alternate and be fine.
Okay, so as far as,
That's
typically
true.
we would rotate through alternates to, be fair. But in this case where it's Zoom versus physical, do I need to default to who's physically here?
Yes, I would recommend doing that.
Okay, so we'll seat Terry instead of Bill Larson.
And
Wait.
and my comment was just, you need to stop there and not appoint someone for Rich, because only a select board member can fill in for Rich.
Right. And none of them showed up. Jeez, imagine that. Okay. We're just gonna wait a couple minutes for the minutes to get distributed. I guess we're used to working from home and having computers, and it's kind of hard with phones. But yes, yeah. For this case, we have a few board members who are abutters to the public hearing that we'll be doing today. So Tara, can you just clarify when recusals are appropriate?
Sure. So we talk about recusing if you have a conflict of interest, but sometimes we kind of forget exactly what that means. And it basically means that you have a personal or financial interest that might be in conflict with the public's. So in thinking about abutters to a golf course property, that might be true if your house is so close you have a concern about the noise from the new addition. And in that case, you might be well advised to recuse yourself and participate as an abutter. If you're just one of many homes abutting the golf course, because we design resort communities to maximize enjoyment of that green space, I wouldn't worry about it. I think it's always recommended to state for the record if you are an abutter or have anything else going on that may make a concern. If no one, and that would be at the start of the public hearing or the start of reviewing the case. If nobody objects, that fact has merit in any court proceeding. I think most of you know too that in cases you're not sure, the state law says that you can ask for non-binding vote of the board. And just an important thing to keep in mind, and I know that you're thinking about this, Wendy, is recusal means you don't count as part of the quorum. You need to go sit in the audience. Versus abstaining, you do still count as part of the quorum.
Okay. You have a question to that, Craig?
Well, his comment is that usually the recusal is.
Sorry, hold on one second. Can you hear Craig okay on Zoom in or?
Yeah,
My experience with other municipalities that is on recusal is that if you have a financial interest, you can automatically recuse yourself.
Right.
As far as being a butter or in the same neighborhood or something like that, it would be really my objections. I would be the one appealing to something on that line.
Mhm.
So I would be the one objecting to it, not you're objecting to it. It's almost impossible in this town to get a hearing if everybody left because they're a neighbor.
Okay, great.
So it'd really be my call, I think, and I have no objections to the 6 that are here today.
Okay.
So I would think that's really the control it more, because I'm the one that would be appealing. it.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense.
and,
I mean, I
and
think it's also appropriate for each individual to make their best judgment call with what they're comfortable with as well.
And I think what's important is when you open the case, any abutters state that for the record, and Craig say that again, so it's part of the hearing record.
Okay, great. Okay, thank you. Now let's move on to reviewing the meeting minutes. We'll start with our regular meeting, which was on June 10th. Are there any corrections to these minutes? Oh, and also just for the board, we had a lot of difficulty last time with folks listening in that our papers were just too loud for the microphone. So if we can keep paper shuffling to a minimum, and just when it comes to the point where we need to move papers, just give everyone a chance to get situated before speaking, so no one loses out on the conversation. I had one comment on somewhere goes on page 2, line 2. The information doesn't come to me; it comes to the town.
Okay.
This is coming slowly to her, maybe to the town.
Okay.
And I wanted to double check. Oh, okay. Maybe this, so under master plan revision, page 2, line 1, was it that we expanded the transportation chapter to include community facilities? Was it the transportation chapter?
Where are you?
The second page under master plan revision,
Oh, okay.
line 1, the number 1.
No,
Well, the numbers kind of instead.
That was,
I can see how it ended up with that way in the minutes, because my comment was that you only have a transportation chapter now, but you really should have one that includes all community facilities.
Okay, so
yeah.
okay.
I guess we,
Don't talk about
I guess the numbering probably should go
The
from,
numbering is fine on the Word doc when I printed it, so I don't, like, it was one through, a bunch of, I don't know why it printed funny like that.
maybe the left side of the numbering is off the
Okay,
printer.
It is, yeah, it's margin problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know when I emailed it and looked at it, it was all the 20, one through
Yeah, that's gotta
30
be-
something, but I'll do a fuss with that.
Not sure that you would make me want to eat blood.
Okay.
Any other comments for the June 10th minute? Goodness, good June 10th meeting minutes. If there are any further comments, oh, Mike, did you have something? You're thinking.
No, I guess it's right. I was looking at the 39.6, and that's what he said, not what we limit.
Right.
Yeah, I just.
Terry's taking out his red pen.
Go ahead, Jerry. You have your red pen out.
Should we move?
I'm
Yep.
open for a motion. If
Okay,
anyone-
I move the minutes of the June 10th meeting of the planning board be accepted as amended.
I second the motion.
Excellent.
Michael Bell.
All those in
Oh,
favor,
no. I found a bunch of spelling
Oh.
errors.
sure. We can back up to include spelling errors.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so, on the first page, under meeting, I wasn't gonna say anything, but sorry.
Okay.
The third line from the bottom, Jay Driscoll is missing an L. He might care. But then, I wasn't gonna say anything, but then on the last page, paragraph 2, the T in select board is missing. And I think it's 3 times. Minors, totally minor.
Good catch, though.
Where's the missing T?
Third page,
Yeah,
The first
in
line,
paragraph 2.
There it is.
that's first line. Third line. Gosh, I didn't see.
Okay, Hawkeye.
oh, wow, wow.
I tried not to look.
And didn't, oh, I know why. Because you have, you know, you have your Word document, so it doesn't pick up spell check on capitals,
Mhm.
right?
Great.
Interesting.
Okay.
That's a,
It's a feature, not a bug.
I think you can tell it to do it.
you can't, no, you can't. It's
Okay,
one of your. it's
So
one
we
of your
have
options.
a motion on the table.
And it's select board, one word or two.
One.
I think one.
It is what? Wow. Okay,
All those in favor of the motion? We'll just go around, since everyone who's seated for today is present, I'm not gonna do the roll call. We'll just go around the table, as long as that's fine procedurally.
Mike Capel, aye.
Terry Wade, aye. Oh, I can. Oh, yeah.
Aye.
guess
Yes,
so.
you're seated. Aye,
Racine, aye.
I approve.
okay, great. So now let's move on to, so June 10th are accepted, June 24th, there's special meeting for those minutes.
On, under the paragraph meeting, which is on the first page, line 2, second sentence. Those change, I'm sorry, down line 3. The building height is limited to 39.6. No, let me go back up. Those changes include that the sign will be metal. But you can add the word that.
Okay.
And down on the bottom line on that same page, engineering spoke about utilities and drainage design of the site plan. stating that 43% of the paved area will be designated as snow storage. What he's saying is that an area that's equal to 43% of the pavement. It appears here as though he's designating a part of the pavement to be snow storage, and that's not the case.
All right, so change it to 43%.
43%.
43%.
Well,
An area equal to.
stating that an area, yeah, of 42% will be designated. as snow.
Okay.
That's important.
Yeah.
On the second page, under motion, the first motion, to accept application with two conditions as shown, as noted. I think we should be saying to accept the application as complete with two conditions.
Yes.
Where were we?
Yeah, it's actually important.
Oh,
Like we did down on next motion on line 4.
The second page, the top paragraph, line 7, so the very first set, number 7. Take away the very first word "that," so it should read, "The planning board would like the minutes to note that this discrepancy in the plan would need to be corrected in the final plan." There's just an extra.
On the second page, in the middle paragraph, line 7. Okay, that's for the dumpster pad on the site plan, as well as it reads, as well as an updated manhole detail. I think that should be a corrected manhole detail.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it corrected or is it what he's building?
It
I thought
was-
I read it as what he was building. I was not correct, but you could be right. Doesn't, it probably
It
doesn't
was,
matter.
it was wrong on the plan.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
And the list of conditions of approval were referred to in the minutes, so just eyeball those as well. Okay, any other thoughts on the June 24 minutes? Anyone want to make a motion?
I move the minutes be accepted as modified.
A second.
Alrighty. All those in favor?
Mike Capel, aye.
Jerry Wade, aye.
Aye. Yes, aye.
Yes.
Yes, I approve.
Alrighty.
Is that Rich Rita's iPad? And if so, should we make note that he's sort of here?
Joined via Zoom.
Rich?
I don't. These YouTube.
Hi, Mike. I'm going to fade in and out because I'm moving around. So I would just prefer to be in the audience today.
Okay, thanks, Rich.
Thank you, Rich.
Thank you for asking.
Alrighty, so we, moving on, have a site plan application that was submitted. Everyone have a chance to review the application for completeness? And we're ready to accept the application as complete?
Is it time to ask questions about the plan? Or is that later?
Let's get the application accepted, so we
Okay.
basically say we have that first step.
You want me to go through my comments on that now?
Sure, thank you, Tara.
So, well, I have to say, it's really tough to do this on such short notice. I didn't receive the site plan until you guys did. Just something to keep in mind that I really need to see things as soon as they come in. But I did, make time to fit in updating the comments that I'd submitted earlier. And at this point, my feeling is if the applicant states for the record that there'll be no additional seating, in other words, that would increase parking needs, no power to the deck, no lighting on or to the deck, then I think what you would need to waive in order to accept it as complete is the contours. There's no topography shown on the plan. That is a requirement of the site plan regulations, so it would need to be waived in order to accept it as complete. There are a couple other details I think could wait and be conditions of approval and done before you sign the plan. And that would be the name and seal of the surveyor that prepared it and correcting the labeling relative to the LDR zone that it abuts. Was that clear, or was it too much in one long sentence?
No, I think that was clear.
Okay.
Let's see. Now, Craig, I know you had mentioned in our previous discussions that this was not meant to add seating. Is that still what
Yeah,
you're
I can
stipulating?
address the terrace. If that's all right with you right now.
Okay.
What I asked for, because of obviously everybody's so busy and it's tough to get things done. How we did it before, and how we'd like to do it this time is that as far as a stamp plan with an engineer stamp on it.
Well, actually, can we, just so we can get this complete and move on, just the two aspects about the seating and the power to the deck. right now.
No seating, no increase in seating, and I can go over what that is actually.
Okay.
I would like to do limited power potentially,
What would that entail?
rope lighting,
What is rope lighting?
rope lights.
It's a low, it's like the LED stuff that's in like a
I mean,
plastic.
like Christmas
robe.
lights?
It's more continuous than that though. It's like, how do you do it? Plastic sheath with like
It's
little
rope
LED
lights.
lights in it.
Anyway. Yeah. Only because we're doing functions right up to end of October now at this point. Like last night, it was dark at 9 o'clock. And by the time we get into October, it's dark around 8 o'clock, and some of our functions, we could put a condition on this thing actually on the whole place, like the whole town to shut down at 9 o'clock. That's it. We're not going past 9 o'clock, 9 p.m.
Can we make that, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah.
Make that a condition.
So there would be power to the deck. It would just be for the rope lighting. You're not doing like speakers or,
No, because of we have speakers on the building now, and that's fine. This is gonna be in close proximity. We did back it down, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that from the application. The original application is about 800 square feet. We're down to 600.
right, what's on the, shown on the plan. Yeah. That is what's shown, right? The 30 by 20, yeah,
Yeah, so we took 200 square feet off.
Right.
the
okay.
plan. But I'd like to do rope lighting or seasonal lighting, whatever you wanna call it, I
Okay.
guess.
And-
Mainly for safety.
Yeah, right, to delineate the sides, because that part of that upper right corner is over the pond, right?
Yeah, we're gonna cantilever this, and we can cantilever 4 feet onto the pond.
Right,
Structure.
and you wouldn't want anyone kind of wandering off, thinking they
Right.
can step
It is gonna
down.
be a flat deck with a railing on 3 sides.
Right,
And
and
it's
the
open to the front.
area that you're putting it on is flat currently,
The whole
right? You
place is
you don't have
flat
to do
now.
any grading
No.
for it. Okay,
So there's other things on your application that we're kind of, I wouldn't say wavering, but we're like, making
Yeah.
conditional on the plans. Obviously, a lighting plan, I would like to waiver that completely, I guess. That's what she's asking about, I believe.
right.
Normally, we come in with a lighting engineer and do the lighting so that it meets the lighting code, I guess.
Yeah,
Do
Do you know
I don't
the-
think we're so far away from, that portion of the code. I think rope lighting is fine.
yeah. Do you know like the lumens of I mean, I know in my head what it looks like, but just
Minimal,
for anyone, yeah.
yeah, it'll be under the railing, it wouldn't be.
So the railing is like here and this is
32
underneath.
inches.
This is not direct lighting up above people coming down.
No.
Okay.
Okay, all right. Thank you. I think that
So it's almost decorative light.
There you go.
kind of safety light, right? Like
Yeah,
follow
let's use
the
word
light
safety.
strip.
Let's use the
Night
word
light,
safety.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we don't need the lights in the daytime.
I do.
I'll waiver that.
Okay, I think that those two were the main things that you had, Tara, before accepting the application is complete, right? I didn't miss anything on your list?
Yeah, I don't think we're gonna do a topo. That would be, we'd have to bring people out to shoot that, to do a topo. But we're gonna bring somebody out to actually do a tie-in into the building, because the building is on an engineer plan. So that all they do is shoot the corners to the building, to the new deck, you do an as-built. It's actually very simple to do, but they'll certify that the deck, when it gets constructed, is where it is. We'll give the building department a plan of it as built.
Is that probably too early yet, but the deck.
It
is
might
part-
change a
is
little bit.
Part of it already on your concrete? It looks like it might.
No,
be.
it's gonna shift a little bit from what you got there. We tried to expedite this as much as possible without having people, they wouldn't come out.
Hmm, okay.
So I had to kind of say, just throw it on there.
So basically, you're gonna move it like that way.
No, I think it's gonna kitty corner a little bit. Yeah,
Okay,
at
But-
best. It's definitely, we're so far away from property lines that there's no issue that we're gonna miss it.
and the bottom line is you're stating that this won't have any impact on your parking needs because it won't change the seating that you're
It
allowing?
won't change the seating that is approved since 2000, it was prior to my 2015. So we have not changed our seating since that time.
Okay.
At 26, something like that.
Right now we have 74 people,
Seating for 74?
yes. And we actually are only seating 52 at the moment.
Yeah. Okay.
There is some work that's gonna be done on, as far as parking goes. They're gonna upgrade Lost Pass Road. There's some issues with the height, and we might be adding parking because of piggybacking on that a little bit.
Well,
But
that's
that's all.
for another time.
Yes, if you have time afterwards, while I'm here, I'd like to talk about, what is a site plan, what is a structure, what's not a structure? Do you want to upgrade the site plan, and we can talk about just in general business, I guess.
Yeah, no.
I don't want to get into that right this second,
Exactly.
but I can do it afterwards. I would like to do it while I'm here. It's just say, hey, what are you looking for, I guess.
Okay, well, let's, yeah.
So we
just to
don't
be able
get
to-
blindsided, because we're going fast and furious.
Well, let's just take this a step at a time.
Yeah.
And thank you for clarifying those points. So, board, are we prepared to say that the site plan is complete, or are we looking for other information before we can take that step?
May I say something?
Oh, yes,
course.
Lisa, hello.
Hi, I have a question about the railing. Will it be tight enough for small children won't fall into the pond?
What is she saying?
Is it gonna be safety so small children won't walk off the end into the pond?
Yeah,
Well,
Well, if you have toddlers hanging out at a function.
There's gotta be a code, isn't there?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we're gonna build.
More of a,
I think it's 32 inches. Yeah.
might be more of a,
Railings have to be a certain degree.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it'll be built to code.
sorry, Tara, what,
yeah, I'm not sure that, I'd talk about that after when you talk about the sub.
okay,
But what I wanted to say, if the board is feeling, ready to accept it as complete, I'd recommend first voting to waive contours, parking, electric and lighting.
Thank you.
I guess the one thing that I would worry about is like, how far is this deck gonna move out?
My code, I'm a professional commercial builder. I mean, that's what I did, so the code says that we can go a third past the LV bar, the structure that we're building. We can actually go 4 feet without footings on the end. And that's dictating how far out it's gonna go. So you build the footings on the land, secured land, and normally on a square structure, you would have footings all around the whole exterior of the deck, let's say. But you are allowed to cantilever up to 4 feet on this particular deck. And it's literally designed to cantilever. So the underneath structure underneath it is beefed up pretty heavily at this point, if you look at the construction plans. So that it doesn't teeter-totter or does not fall into the pond.
And you're gonna need some kind of support under that portion, which is over the pond.
No,
You're not.
No, that's what
That's
he
it.
not as
That's
far
what
as
he's saying,
footings
yeah.
go. You're allowed to go
I'm not
4 feet.
sure if it's that, so it's safe.
Yes, this thing is beat to the max. We're taking into consideration the amount of people that we're expecting on the deck, multiply and have everybody standing at the edge.
And you're thinking when, like, because you had that other picture, there was more like a photograph where you had placed it, and it was definitely,
By code, we can only do this particular deck, if you look at the plans, is 4 feet cantilever.
right. My thinking was that it was sort of not just turned, but moved more to the left.
Couldn't
And
do
my
it.
question is, how far to the left are you thinking you might go? Because at a certain point, you're affecting your,
When you say left, I guess is when you face the front of the building. It's gonna go this way.
away from the building.
No, it's not. It's gonna start right here.
You're basically catty corner, make 45 degrees.
Yes, you understand this deck is connected to the building as far as usage goes. Right, so the further, we're not putting it 300 feet away.
Yeah, the previous Google Maps thing did make it look like it was further away.
Yeah, so that's
Again,
my question.
yeah,
is
we're-
How far away?
If I was building a $4 million building here, we would have much detailed plans. But we're building a $2,000 deck, basically. And we're really doing it is to control the traffic that we have now. We're having problems controlling traffic, period. I mean, traffic means people around there around. We'd like to service them in a much more controlled atmosphere.
Right.
So this keeps the tables in a,
It keeps the thing and we can serve differently. We're gonna start serving, differently than what we've been doing.
Okay. So, board, are we willing to waive those aspects?
The as-built plan will come in and will show you in relationship to the setbacks and how much over the pond it actually physically is.
Will that show the contours and the electric?
It will show, the electric is just electric. We're not
I
gonna have an
know,
electric
but-
plan. I'm not gonna bring an electric engineer here.
But the
That's what
town
you
will
would ask
know
for. That's
where,
the only person that can do a plan is an electric engineer.
right, but the town will know where the line is gonna be like buried or, I mean, it
Yeah.
has to be
yeah.
recorded somewhere,
It'll
right?
be a GFI plug. And obviously electrician would do it.
And that will be, the location will be noted in the as-built.
Yeah, it'll be literally, I can tell you it'll be off the corner because that's where the plug, the electricity is. The other corner, that's where the electricity is today. So,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, we can handle that with a building permit. And, most towns we have a foundation permit, but we don't have to do that.
Okay.
But it's, if you looked at the construction plans, the deck is deep. The last thing I wanted to do is.
Board, are we happy with waiving those items? or,
Waiving contour, electric and lighting
And parking.
and parking. Because you're not asking for any additional parking.
I'm
See,
not asking
this
for any
is
additional
seating.
people. seating.
Because what's challenging is the restaurants and bars, the
Yeah.
parking requirements are one space per 75 square feet
Right.
of primary floor area. So it's not based on number of seats, it's based on floor area. So this is kind of very much taking it at your word that because you will have, obviously more square footage,
Yes.
but that it's
And
not
I'll be
going
honest
to.
with you, if we were at any other town, we would have a problem doing this. So I'm very much aware of that. Meaning we're basically trying to take our 26 seats inside and move them outside seasonally
Mhm.
and use it that way and use it, shifting it from one season to another season. If you were building this building in any other town, that would not be allowed because they don't recognize seasonality.
Right.
Wendy?
Well, Tara?
I don't think you need to take his word. You can make it a condition of approval when you vote to approve the plan.
True. Okay. All right. So board, we need to.
Can I
I'd
ask-
say my word, I would say my explanation of how the business runs.
Right, okay. Someone, is that Rich, Rob? No?
I have a question. Don't know how to do this. Haven't done it
Right,
before.
We don't quite have the public hearing open yet.
Okay, sorry.
This application.
I
Accepted
move
as
we
complete.
accept the application, recognizing that we do not have contour, electric, lighting, and parking.
That we will waive it.
That we do not have, and we are waiving having those 4 requirements.
You could put on the conditions if you want to start a little note.
Well,
pad
we'll
for
do the conditions later, but yeah,
Yeah, you could start putting some of this stuff.
wait,
together.
that's, yes, yeah.
So it's not a blanket waiver.
right. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor of
Mike.
accepting this as complete
With those conditions.
with the conditions?
Those conditions. Mike Copel, aye.
Terry Wade, aye.
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 And I.
Okay. Now, at this point, we'd had some discussion about board members with property abutting the application. We had talked a bit earlier about recusals, and if anyone feels like, I know there've been some folks noticing me beforehand that they would be recusing themselves. There's, as we heard from Tara, no pressure to do so. And Craig, you had made a statement earlier.
My experience is, let's say, I'm not going to say more than it because I'm not sure about everybody here, but very, very extensive experience in property. And it's really my, as an applicant, if I had somebody on the board that I thought had a real bad,
Extra fine.
yeah, then I could ask for a recusal. That's, like a jury or something like that.
Right.
But basically, just because you're a butter or a customer, which is another problem some people have, that is not, in my mind, or I'm not looking to recuse anybody because they're a customer.
But
or-
you technically are satisfied with everyone. I mean, I of course would
Yes.
still want to leave it open. to
There's
board
absolutely
members.
nobody that I know that has a financial interest, and that would be a huge one, obviously.
Okay,
But it's kind of hard not to be in a butter at this
Right.
point,
in this town.
or a competitor or whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
There's all kinds of things.
Sure,
We're just too small, too tight, and we own too much property.
okay.
So
That being said, I still would want to leave it up to any board
I'm
members.
happy
if-
with the 6 members that are present.
Okay, thank you for making that statement. If anyone does feel like they need to recuse themselves, just let us know.
But we should
and that's-
state, for example, that theoretically,
Yes,
I'm in a butter, but I
Yeah,
don't
you
have any
can.
problems with it.
We've-
right,
Everybody here is.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I'd like to state I'm in a butter, but I do not see this from my property and I don't have a problem.
Right.
That's it. Participant in this.
Okay. So,
I'll stay in.
okay. All right. So with that, we'll open the public hearing with
Yeah.
the
this-
board seated as they are.
awesome. Thank you.
And great.
All right, I just want to propose that we're proposing a outdoor seating deck of 600 square feet adjacent to the patio that we have there now. It is going to be cantilevered over the pond about 4 feet roughly. It is going to be contained on 3 sides with a railing. It is obviously meets the building codes and actually exceeds the building codes right at the moment as far as weight goes and whatnot. And our idea is, because of what happened last year and what's happening this year, we're seeing, a big influx of usage on the property by the residents. 90% of it is the residents. And we just need to control it and to basically corral them so that we can serve them in an adequate and safe manner. I mean, that's really, we've had problems because it's wide open and we're, taking advantage of the entire property, that we're having problems controlling people being served correctly. And that's kind of where it's at. We do have an enclosed area that is probably down the road is right now, was started as a screen and patio. We did add the glass to it. We did winterize it. That's probably gonna get more winterized actually in the future. But people don't want to sit inside. And that's the, I think that's just gonna continue. There's some good things that came about last year, and one of them is everybody wants to be outside when it's sunny. So we do see an influx of business when it's sunny. When it's raining, we don't do that much. So, we're just trying to take advantage of the fact that people want to be outside. We have the ability to do it. We have the property to do it. And thank God we have the customers to do it. So that's really where we're at with the whole thing. We're seeing what happened here last year and trying to accommodate it, to accommodate the residents. One other thing on a side note on that is that I don't want to get stuck again like last year with the state telling us how many people we can actually physically get. That could change at any time now. They might even, who knows what will happen down the road. Don't say never, because it will happen again.
Don't say, oh.
Right, so we were looking to do is to be proactive about putting people outside and spacing the seats much differently than we normally would space them. Like I said, explained that before, there is, if you have an architectural plan, there is a formula for seating on decks and square footages. I really think that's all going out the window, and that are now the seating and the tables are being spaced historically, are now being spaced further apart, period. And I think that's just the fact of how people are more comfortable.
Yeah.
So if you go into a restaurant and they're 7 feet apart, basically from the center to the edge, and they're all stacked in there tight, you're going to see that people prefer it be bigger.
Yeah.
And
Now,
less seats on a bigger area.
and I don't see it reflected on here, but I know just, by walking by and being at your business, you have a little decking area off
Yes.
to the left of the current dining.
Yes, that has 30. That has our open seating is 20 seats, and we have 16 there now.
That's over.
So
by
is that
Fish Bar.
like just a patio on the ground type of thing, or is that an
Concrete
elevated deck?
patio.
Yeah, so it's a concrete patio. So,
How we're intending to run that part of it is the other thing is we've been doing the rehearsal dinners. We've been doing some functions. We'd like to keep, that's where our buffet table is now. It's been covered over. We're gonna keep all our rehearsals on that side of the building. And then on this side here, we're gonna be limited to residents. What was happening before is we do a function, we have to shut the whole property down.
Sure.
And thus the residents get confused, which would open or close, open, close, open, close, that kind of
Right.
stuff. So we're trying to accommodate the huge influx of residents on a basis that we can serve them correctly and also bring in the rehearsal, the function business.
so I'm sorry, how many seats again on that concrete patio?
We're allowed 20.
20.
There are 4 tables and 6 tables right now, so there's
Okay.
16 out there now.
Yeah, and that has like railings around it, so it's sort of like a little.
Well, it's a grade. It doesn't, building code doesn't require any. We do have.
No, just curious how it's
Yeah, it's like
delineated.
24 inches. It's not.
Okay.
But it's not a code railing.
I'm sorry. And
Yeah.
I don't know, make it like I really care. But do you ever pay any attention to how many people are actually there?
Of course,
I'm just curious.
me and the guy at the bank.
You're not out there like with a physical clicker, like you're on my property.
Yeah,
and
but
I'm
you've got to
taking
carry
note,
out
but-
area.
I do throw a few people.
All right, are there any?
Well, that's part of the problem. I mean, some of them just walk in from the backside.
Yeah, I know.
We prefer them actually to control it like a normal restaurant where you walk in the front door. But we do have problems with people walking in the backside, which is, it bothers the help that we have there. And I have to explain to them that we're not normal, so get over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome. We don't,
Just
yeah,
one question. There's a deck, a timber deck of some sort there leading out to the boat right now. It's gonna replace that. That's gonna take it over.
Yeah.
okay. We don't have any public here, but I know there's some on Zoom where.
I just want to finish.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
Just to give a, background on what's going on, you know, we're upwards of over 400 members at this point, which is about 50% of the population of this town. So I think obviously that is affecting that. Obviously, we're doing something right, or we're the only game in town, I guess. I'll spend close to $5,000 a year on donations to different organizations and whatnot. That is a direct result. Is the fact is that we're been very successful. We do landscape and improve the property. We have right off. You're talking about a butters. We have close to 40 acres that we're maintaining. I added $1,000 worth of maple trees this year, things like that. Obviously, we're adding $2,000 worth of plantings, you know, on an annual basis. Those are all being taken care of by the people, the guests that use the property. And the big thing is we're taking drainage from all the roads too, and we're happy to manage that. I mean, it's fine. I don't see any reason to stop that, but that is a little bit different than other towns too. We are accepting drainage from a huge amount of road work. And our taxes are up to $27,000 a year now, property taxes. And I don't think we use that many services. I don't think the police have come that much to the property. So in general, the success that we've garnished is because of the help from the residents. Thus, we're having a tough time control. We want to control it in an adequate fashion. And it's be honest with you, and as some of you have some history here, we basically have 3 businesses going on there. We have the golf, which is part of the business, is only about 1/3 of the business at this point. Does only pays for about 1/3 of the expenses going on. The food and beverage is what we're talking about right here, is another 1/3. That's paid for a lot of upkeep and a lot of the things that I'm talking about. And the tubing in the winter is another 1/3. So how the business operates, it's basically got these 3 businesses that all work together to obviously, and that's what you see out there today. Neither one of them will support this property. Meaning if we limited it or got rid of one of those 3 businesses, you'll see a drastic change in how the appearance of the property, or at some time we'd have to make a decision to do something different.
Now, just because you mentioned tubing made me think about it. So this new deck, would that be closed off in the winter?
I'm
Hoping.
Yeah, I don't want to show it. No, it's not. No, there's no need for that. That's the thing is we'll take those people, we'll be inside at that point. So, you know,
Cold.
Yeah. No, we don't have intentions of heating this deck or providing any heaters or anything like that.
Or enclosing.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So are you okay if I move on to take public comments?
Yeah,
Questions? Okay. I believe there is a question or a comment from.
Yes, I have a question. Henry Risman, 3 Drakes Brook. I couldn't find online the plans, so I'm just going by what I'm listening here. And the concern I would have, quite frankly, is it really changes the footprint of the complex quite a bit. You know, looking at it from the parking lot, you're extending over quite a long way to get over the pond. It just seems to me from looking at it, you could probably, if you needed 600 square feet, you could probably do that on the other side of the building by extending the deck that's there now. And you'd be accomplishing all the same things without cutting the view of the pond off. That's it.
Thank you. Do you want to respond to that, Craig?
I would say no. The other side is on the side of the road. It's obviously not the better side. It's on a hill. Where again, we're talking about doing a small functions on that patio side and then opening this deck up to the general public. So it's basically 2 separate parties, let's say, that would happen at the same time. We have the capabilities of doing more and service, and we have a huge need for servicing more. As far as viewing the deck, you're not going to be able to see this parking lot.
Okay,
The
yeah,
building's in the way.
I think again, there's that Google Earth image that's floating out there, that does show this quite a bit further away from the
Yeah,
building.
we're not putting a float.
So
It's
just,
not a float.
it's, oh, my eyes. So we're talking 6 feet from the existing building, is that?
Yes, and that would stay. So we'll try, it probably, and then it would be, this corner will probably be a little bit further than 6 feet. Probably more like 10 or 12. Yeah,
So you're talking the lower left corner would be like 6 feet, and then it would
Yeah.
that would be like the
Just rotate a
axis
little
that it
But
would
when you're
rotate from.
rotating, even this corner is still gonna be at least 6 feet.
yeah. It has to be, we're bringing it tight to the building because it's gonna be part of the building, basically. It's just gonna be an area of 6 feet between physical separation. We could technically attach it if it made a difference.
I have a silly question, just because I don't. Now, when you do that, you have your pizza oven.
Pizza
Okay.
oven's gonna move.
It's gonna have to move so that
Yeah.
it stays away from the structure.
Well, it's moving, period. Yeah,
Okay,
that's gonna be,
I just, you don't want that hot thing that close to people.
no, there won't be, that might be a discussion afterwards, but the pizza oven is coming out of there.
Okay, but that's gonna have to be,
It's actually.
do we have to make that a
No,
condition or anything
no,
else?
it's a building.
It's not a
thing.
permanent
Okay.
structure. Are there stairs? Sorry, maybe
It's
on
gonna
those
be on
pictures.
grade, 7.5 inches. So it'll be a
7.5
step,
inches.
one step. Be on grade,
One
that's
step.
usually on grade,
The intent is to turn it and then cantilever over the edge of the pond.
just a literally. This is a 6-foot table, so it's really right here.
4 feet.
Yeah. It's not huge. And the reason for that is we can't put footings in the pond. You're gonna notice it, it's just not gonna be a huge notice. Yeah,
So it's a step down for weight service onto the concrete patio and then a step up
well,
onto the deck.
when you build a deck on grade, steps can only be 7.25 inches high, so that's will be the grade line.
Are you gonna have a ramp for like 8, or is it not ADL accessible?
Probably, yes, it's we
How
have,
do you
that's a technicality on that, I mean, we could if you wanted to. As long as we have other areas that are available right there in the proximity to it, we wouldn't legally have to follow that code. But there's no reason why we can. I don't think the 6 feet is gonna be enough to do I think it's 2 inches per feet or something like that, if you know what the code is on it. Ramps, hitting ramps are very long. But we could do some issue with it, but it is only one step. And as long as,
Well, which is one too many if you're in a wheelchair.
right. If you want to, that's actually a building code question. I can look at the code. Well, you'd have to look up the code. I think it's actually what we normally do, since it's as far as the footprint is, it's less than, less than 20, way less than 20% of the actual building size.
Now, this is.
We do
where-
have other accesses or other spaces for up somebody in a wheelchair. We have
you
plenty
have
of
the
spaces.
Ramps here, right?
Yes, that's for the building.
So in other words, this dining area would, but you're saying this wouldn't be open.
Technically,
When
but the
this is
patios,
open.
there are patios. So there is already patios there.
So you would have other outdoor eating space open?
If it was for somebody, we can make arrangements, yes. I mean, there are high top chairs and stuff like that. The ADA is not, every inch of the building does not have to be accessible, as long as the majority of the building is accessible.
Well, I think, but Nancy's
But what
point
I'm
is
saying
you're-
is,
is
again-
replacing the indoor seats with there, so there wouldn't
Right.
be seating inside and the porch is open, right?
So,
Yeah.
yeah, where are they? like,
I
if
will
they
take that
came
up
in-
with the building inspector, and if it's necessary, we will definitely do it.
I think it's important. Like the ski area makes, it's like a big factor to have, the ADA,
They're
you
not
know, and the
compliant by any
differently
stretch of
able,
imagination.
pardon me?
They're not compliant by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, no, but I mean, our town, like, I think it's important to
I'm not
us.
sure this building is,
Well, this building was built a long time ago,
yeah.
so.
But anyway, I'd be happy to
I think it's important
look at the building code,
In new
and I would be
construction.
happy to, convey it. It certainly doesn't cost anything to do. It's just
Yeah,
the how, where you actually place it.
yeah, I mean.
6
it would-
feet won't cover. I know that part.
Yeah, I mean, it would just totally suck to not be able to.
It's
join.
gonna be better than actually, because there is access around the side of the building, the stuff we do bring people across around the building and out presently.
Yeah.
If you want to make a condition, I'm not so opposed to it, but
Do we know? just out of
I think it would
curiosity,
be.
I would put a ramp in if you,
Roughly that, yeah.
the actual requirements of the
I
ADA
don't
is.
know that exactly.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
So theoretically, as I do my math, if we assume that for every inch that you have, and you said like 7.5 inches, so let's
That's
make
a
it
step.
8. All right, so yeah, I understand that, so make it 8, so I can multiply easily. If it's 2 inches per foot, that would mean that you would have to have a 4-foot ramp.
I think it's actually one more than that.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying the minimum based upon
I
that
think
would
it's
be about,
better than that.
I think it was 1 and 12.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't
think it's
think it's
1 on
huge.
12.
Yeah.
I think it's 1 on 12.
Yeah.
to be
It's
sure.
a lot
That'd be
more than you
worse.
think.
That would make it a lot worse, a lot longer.
The inside of the building is handicapped, since we have ramps here, we have ramps there, and we have seating in here, and
No, I was just trying to make sure we know if we think this is important, how
think
much
it's
we're
important.
talking about, and we're talking about if my math is wrong and it's more feet,
it's
then that
definitely a
would
lot
be,
more than 4.
okay.
I think it's probably closer to somewhere in the 1 inch per foot or something like that.
That's what everything's 1 inch per foot.
It is a building code issue,
Yeah,
so you can take that up with Chris.
all right.
I mean,
Is this a building?
Technically, it's a structure.
Yeah.
Or well, it wouldn't be.
I know, but you're replacing the indoor seating with
Yeah,
outdoor.
I know what you're.
If I get the,
So
if we can't, we
think we-
move it over, that this 6 feet could crunch down a little bit, and then we can go further out. We could, I think there's something that
If
can
you
be
rotate it
done.
that way, you'd have room here.
Right,
I think it's the right thing to do. I think we should.
all right. You also need a handicap cart. Golf cart.
That'd be great.
Were you gonna make a comment,
donate?
Chris, or you're just?
Yeah, I take Nancy's point to heart in that if the seats are moved, if the intent is to move the seats outside instead of inside, then if it were just an expansion, I would say it wouldn't be totally
Can
necessary.
we, as far as this board is concerned, can we leave it with that one of the conditions is that will be a ramp entrance to the deck?
There'll be access. Yeah, that can be one of the.
Thank you.
So if we don't make, if it really comes down to be close to 10 feet out, and we only did the ramp at 8 feet or something like that, because we don't want to go push it any further, then we wouldn't be compliant, but it would still work.
Unless, is it possible to?
Wendy? Can I,
Oh,
can I
That's
comment on that?
Yep.
I don't think it's meaningful to have a ramp that's not ADA compliant. I think if you're at,
You can approve steps.
if the, sorry, if the board decides that handicap access is important to the deck, then I think you do want to make it be ADA compliant.
Right.
If you use that language,
Okay.
she's 100% correct. If you just use the language that one of the conditions is that the deck built on grade
Yep.
will have a ramp system.
ADA compliant.
No, just use the word ramp compliant, have a ramp.
So
But that,
That's not.
that's
what
true,
I'm
but
saying.
that
I
doesn't really address
not.
Nancy's issue. So.
Well, it does and it doesn't.
Except it might be terrifying to get on a steeper ramp.
Well, it's only, literally.
Well, couldn't you just connect if you have
Right.
access through the building, couldn't you just create like a little walkway from the building over?
Yeah, but
As
it's not-
opposed to a
it's not
ramp?
attached, it's not attached to the building.
Well, but it would be, I mean, if you're talking 6 foot from the building, that'd be a lot shorter than a 12-foot ramp.
Oh, like a raised
Yeah,
walkway,
yeah.
like they do, like if, and that would.
Again, we're getting into, I'd be
But
happy to
that's
do
why-
it if I can physically do it.
That's gonna be cheaper than 12-foot ramp though.
Well, if we just leave it that
No,
it'd
the
be,
ramps are fine. It's not a cost issue. It's just, it's how much space we have there.
right. But
It's
if we just,
possible that ADA might have some sort of a exception for something that's only 8 inches off the
Well, they
ground.
definitely do
Right.
for square footage.
Yeah.
It is not 100, you don't have to have 100% of the building out on adequate, you have to supply normal
right, but,
access.
but what you're saying is that the building won't be accessed when the.
No,
porch
what
is
I'm
being
saying
used.
is if you take all the square footage, this is a tremendous amount of square footage compared to the building itself.
Well, no, it's
Every
quite
inch
a
of a
bit.
building does not have to be ADA compliant. You just have to be, there is a percentage.
Okay.
But I want to go back to what you said, right? Because I always listen to you. What you said is that we're gonna have your pre-wedding party over here and the townspeople over here. So that should something happen to Bill, all right, and he's in a wheelchair, for example, then that would mean, no offense, but yeah, I'm just looking. But
The other bill.
the other
There you
bill,
go.
but that would mean that it would restrict that which you could do if you have this going here. And I think that's what Nancy is saying. And as the more I think about it, the more important that would become, I think.
Right.
As we all get older.
What I'm saying to you, if you have seen an ADA compliant ramp, they are quite long. Because of that, for a reason, so that they can actually do it themselves and they don't need physical help.
It's
So
not,
that's-
it's not necessary though to do it in a straight shot. The way we handle when you need to do a greater height in a shorter distance is we have it go down into a landing and then back up. I mean, not down and up, but in steps with a landing in the middle. So it could go out from the building, like looking at the site.
No, we're digressing here because I don't have, it's not there.
I was
Like,
done.
refer to the building inspector and we will be ADA compliant.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the ADA compliance.
I don't
is the
want
key
to,
thing,
I don't want to
think.
design it right this second.
Yeah,
Right.
we don't have
Okay,
to.
so we'll make that as a
No,
condition.
I'm just,
Well, I always accept you on your, because I.
well, the whole building, you could get into all kinds of stuff here, but this structure is gonna be built to code. And part of the ADA is part of the code.
I just want everyone to be able to enjoy the deck.
Yes.
Wendy, it's important to understand that what Craig is saying may lead to the deck not having a ramp. It's important that what you asked for is an ADA compliant ramp to the deck.
I'm sorry, I can't hear too. Go ahead, Tara.
It's important that what you asked for, if you want the deck to be accessible, is an ADA compliant ramp to the deck. What Craig is offering may result in the deck not being accessible because he's saying ADA compliant, period. And ADA may not require access to the deck.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Yep. So I think what we're looking for is an ADA compliant ramp or ADA compliant access.
Access, yes.
Access.
And that might be, we might lower this down.
Okay,
Does that be sufficient?
Well, as long as.
whatever
Yeah,
will work.
we're not putting a 7.5 to the depth. You said, all we're saying is how you get it done is up to you.
I think it might be easier actually to aesthetically just lower it down 4 inches.
Okay.
7 inches. We'll bury the whole deck in something great.
Okay.
That would be the easiest thing, because
It'd
what
be
I'm
easier for
looking
the
at is
staff
that
not
I'm
to
worried
trip.
about the deck, this
Right.
ramp pushing this thing in a different direction.
Right.
you also have a lot of older customers, you have people drinking. I think not having a step is good, or having a ramp is good for everybody.
Right,
Hmm.
but I think you can leave that language in, I think I might just drop it down.
Okay. We do have received from Rich as an abutter, his comments. I guess, yes, he's still here in the public. Rich, you want me to go ahead and read that, or did you want to make your comments? I don't know what kind of area you're in.
If he presented to you, you can read it.
Yeah. Don't want to speak for him if he can speak.
Rich?
That's fine. So I'll go ahead and read. So he
Can you
wrote-
hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yep.
Oh, sorry about that. Yes, Wendy, please go ahead and read my abutters comments, and I'd like to amend them after you are done with your peroration.
Okay, I'll read it and then we'll wait for your corrections. As an abutter, I'm writing the planning board in lieu of attendance to comment on the site plan application submitted by Boulder Path Inc. to construct a roughly 900 square foot deck attached to the golf club. Of course, we know 600, so I'm making that amendment now. First, I would like to applaud the current owner for all the excellent work he has done and considerable resources he has expended to turn the golf course and the club into a Waterville Valley gem. This result is especially impressive given the recent pandemic we have all just lived through. With regard to the application, I can support it as long as the approval is conditioned only on the use that the owner had earlier briefed the board to create outside seating for the golf club restaurant as an adjunct to current seating and consistent with the establishment's food service license and state safety and health requirements. This suggests to me that the deck will not be used as an entertainment or other venue, and that it will not be lighted, or that any utilities will be incorporated into the deck. As an abutting property owner in LDR, I am concerned that noise and lighting generated by any entertainment or similar activities would negatively impact the value of my property. Thank you, Rich Rita, 38 Snows Mountain Road. All right.
So my amendment is that in light of the discussion about the safety for lighting, I'm fine with, I think, something I should have considered. But yes, electricity to support safety lighting or decorative lighting, I think is a very good idea. So I would make that amendment to my statement. Thank you.
Thanks, Rich.
And just, I mean, we fully intend to close our business down at 9 p.m. every night, basically. There are a couple functions that have been doing, we've been doing because of the weddings and stuff. We have been doing a half welcome party from 8 to 10. We're not too happy doing them, to be honest with you.
Well, when you're up first thing in the morning making breakfast, it's a long.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, but we've kind of done them because they want to support the weddings. They pre-sold these things. They obviously wedding parties they're even having a problem at 10 o'clock, but trust me, they're out of it. Last call's at 9:30. So we have been doing a few of them. They're in lieu of the bonfire that they do over on Osceola Harbor. We've done probably half of what David and Osceola's done the other half. You know, we're just have been doing them because we've been asked to. And we've been asked not only by the guests that are in the wedding parties, but we've been asked by the sales department to provide that service at 10 o'clock. We've been very reluctant to do them, but we have done a few. We're not pushing them, I'll tell you right
Our
now.
sound thing is 10, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's fine.
So, but on the Saturday nights is when we have the entertainment to the public. That has been shut down at 9 o'clock.
Could I respond? This is Rich.
Go ahead.
First, again, kudos to Craig. He's been very solicitous to the abutters and others in town in his operations, and I appreciate that he shuts down even or closes down even before he's required to do so. And I have no complaints. My concern would be for someone who may come after Craig who would not be so solicitous to the abutters. And the bottom line, I guess that's one concern. And my bottom line is, I think it's very nice to have outdoor seating there in lieu of indoor seating when the weather permits. My concern is that at some point in time, the deck can be turned into an entertainment venue as opposed to a seating venue where people are served food, and that would increase the noise and potentially the lighting to my property. That's really the bottom line here. I'm fine with seating for serving food.
Okay.
So Rich, actually, Rich and I talked, so basically what we're saying is, what you indicated is that the amount of electricity being sent to this deck is minimal. All right, only enough to take care of your, I learned, rope lighting.
Right.
All right, so that there's not gonna be a 5-piece band blaring out there. And I think that's the concern, that should never be. This is really a seating deck, not an entertainment deck.
We highly encourage food with alcohol. There are some people that just get all the nutrition from alcohol, and it's hard to, but we are 100% encouraging food. That's one of the reasons we're trying to control it a little bit. I don't want to get into, as you all know, there's some places that you have to, we do a percentage. Our percentage of food to alcohol sales is way above what is required. So we're doing well on that score. But if you stood there and looked around, there are some people getting all their substance from alcohol and not food. And I don't want to like shut them off any more than, but we're not turning it into a, nightclub, I guess. I'm not intending to turn it into a nightclub. If you use the extreme on one side, I think what Richard was really saying was that what happens when I leave, somebody else could say, oh, wow, we'll just turn this into one big nightclub. And that has happened in other venues in other towns, not here. I think that my experience in the food and beverage business is that it's gotten way away from that anyway. People are not looking for a nightclub type thing. So we're not looking to do that. But as far as, saying that somebody can't sit at these seats and just only drink, I guess I don't want to go that route that far.
So you're saying there will be seats on the deck, even if you're serving food inside.
No, we're not serving food inside.
No, but I'm saying outside. No, I'm saying if there's a situation, say a nice day in September where you're serving food inside, there will still be seats on the deck. And if someone purchases a drink from your bar and goes sit out on the deck, you're not going to stop them. That's your point. Right.
What I don't want to, we could get into, that's the other thing I think to help Richard out or whatever, and I think I'm somewhat agreeable to it, is that maybe we should revisit this whole site plan review thing after this deck or shortly afterwards, and just say, hey, what are you doing over there?
And you must have like a master plan in your head as to where you're going.
No.
Oh, you don't. You're just taking it as you go.
Yeah, basically, I'll be honest with you. I mean, if businesses operate, I mean, you start with your plan and then you follow it.
Yeah.
All right. It changes as you go, and that's really what this deck is. I mean, I was sitting here last year saying, these tables, we can't, we have to be 6 feet. We got to do all this stuff. We got to put plastic up. You saw what was going on. And I'm just saying to everybody, or, as a smart, or when I say a smart person would do, is we're going to design something to handle that. So if it does happen again, which I think it will at some point, who knows, but I want to be ready. I don't want to sit there and look at my employees who were scared shitless last April, which they make 90% of their money on gratuities, and they're sitting there saying, what are we going to do? How can we do this? What's going to happen? I mean, me personally, obviously, I was going to make it through even if I never worked. Right. But they're not in that scenario. And I had to sit down with them and say that we're going to manage through this, and we're going to keep it tight, and you're going to be fine. And they didn't really, they kind of went with me. And by the middle of the summer, they were all excited. They saw how they were gonna make their money and blah, blah, blah. This is just an answer to that question, is that, we had brought picnic tables in and put them all over the grass and things like that. We had people everywhere. We're just trying to try to corral them in a little bit more organized basis. That's to take it forward. So to follow your business model or a master plan, there is no master plan. You just kind of follow with the flow. I'd be the first guy, if we had, to put ramps everywhere, if that's all we were doing, kind of deal. But we don't, we're have areas that are obviously accessible and some that are just not.
Yeah, I
Very
think to that point, probably not at this meeting, but it could be useful to just do a recap of what,
Yeah.
what was
I do have some
permitted
questions
originally.
about along that line, if you want to get into that after this, because I do have some stuff I want to do next.
We might
time.
have some brief time, but we do have a pretty full slate of other things to work on.
But anyway, the intent is to do, I don't know, pick a number, 70% food to alcohol sales.
Sure.
That's the intent.
Right.
I don't want to put it as a condition of this.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think we would ask for that.
And I don't know.
Okay.
Okay, and I accept Craig's suggestion that we do this general site plan review of
Yes.
what's planned for the property.
Well, it's not
Yes.
even what's planned, it's what we're doing.
What was accepted, well, I think it's worth doing a review of what was accepted originally.
You
and
know
where
what I'm
you're at
talking about.
now, and be able to just know where we're at,
Right.
and if any modifications need to be made, again, like we're saying, everyone knows you and likes working with you, but 50 years from now, you probably won't be here.
Neither will I.
Yeah.
How
So we
about the
just,
rest of us? Yeah.
yes, we just need to
We're not
plan
using
for,
trucks. That'll take the rots out at 60.
yes, so just to plan ahead for, when you move on to other things in life.
Yeah,
You need to
I'm
know.
well aware of that too, that these permits run with the property.
In the meantime, Craig, I think it'd answer some of your questions if you looked at pages 2 and 3 in the site plan regulations, because they have been amended to try to clarify what requires site plan review, what might only require a sketch versus what requires a full-blown application.
Yeah, either you can write all you want into these regulations, but I think it's not a bad practice to come once a year to the boards. And that's what I really intended to do last December, and kind of fly moderate a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it also would,
My only intention last December was to just give you what I think was going to happen this last winter.
right, but I think what we're talking about is a broader perspective of what's been approved in the past, and just to, because we're gonna refresh the board's memory too, we do things 10 years ago or approve
Right.
things before that, and lose track, and
Right.
like you say, businesses evolve,
They
and
definitely
so
do.
it's good to know
Yeah.
that all of our bases are covered.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So as far as this application is concerned, are there any other comments?
Can you make sure
questions?
Rich is satisfied with this?
Yep. Rich? Anyone else on Zoom as well?
Yeah, no, I'm fine as long as we're talking about, as Craig said, seating for food or alcohol service. If that's what the intent of the deck is and the only intent, works for me.
Okay.
Did Lisa get her question answered about the railing? Because I had kind of interrupted to keep the conversation on the completeness.
Oh, the childproofing of the railing?
It would have to code, so
Okay,
that goes back to the building code.
okay,
I actually might do Plexiglass, I'm not positive.
okay.
But
don't
if
have
not, you
any-
put the railings, they're spaced, they're certain, like 3¼ inches. or something.
Right. You don't have any little kids disappearing, going for a swim under the deck.
No, we have limited life preservers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do have one other question. Is this online, the plan?
It's right here in front of us.
I don't know, do we have it online, Alicia?
I don't think so.
I could,
Sorry.
if Alicia gives me screen sharing permission, I could show it to Henry.
If you could do that, that'd be great.
After the hearing.
No. We're more transparent than that, Craig.
You should be all set, Carol.
So it should be showing online now, yes?
I can, I can see it, Tara.
So what's in red is the deck. I
Yeah,
could pull that up.
yeah, if you could blow it up a little bit, but I can't see it. You're actually doing a really good job.
Been doing it a year and a half.
So just a question I have where it says former lot line, that is the current building footprint right now, correct?
Yes.
Okay. No, honestly, it looks good. Looks better seeing it on paper than it does when you're trying to visualize it.
Okay.
I just have a technical clarification.
Yeah.
On this site plan is, it is the official document for this hearing. That little shed there says new shed. Is that the one that's currently there now, or is that?
Yes.
Okay. So that one is the scale seems to be a little bit off because that looks like it's about 20 by 10. According to the scale.
Yeah, I'd have to go, I believe it's 10 feet wide. It could be 20 feet long.
But I guess my point is that's been there since prior to 2015. So right now it shows that it's within the setback, the 35-foot setback for the structure, but it is.
That lot one,
It
what was
is-
the zoning on lot one? What is the zoning on lot one?
I think they're all right.
Because LD.
No, because
It's
it's,
LDR.
lot one was part of this one.
Right, so
We're on lot one of this.
I think it was originally HDR, but they changed it to LDR.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's the rules that we were following.
so that's basically an approved, well, it's non-conforming, but it is approved.
Pre-existing,
Pre-existing,
non-conforming, yeah.
Just to clarify that.
So it's
Which
not,
means
it's
it
not
can't be
new for
modified.
this.
Theoretically.
I'm not trying to, yeah.
I
No,
just
no,
saw that it
Yeah.
said new,
Yeah, it's not new as part of this, yeah.
so that
Yeah.
should come on record, but that's the non-conforming shed that's there now that's
Pre-existing,
pre-existing.
perfect. Thank you.
On that topic, when you come to make an approval, one of the conditions I'd like to see before you sign the plan is removal of this word principal. Because on that same point, the 35-foot setback now applies to all buildings. It always did. So this word principal is incorrect and misleading.
Again, I think there was a question of what
Oh, I see.
where the zoning line actually was.
Right, but all we need is just as a condition to remove principal. So what's filed is correct.
Yeah,
That's all.
and to add LDR over here, because that's also a requirement in the regulations and it's missing from the plan.
When we went to build when we did this plan is when we found out that the building actually did cross the lot lines. And that's why we combined the lots to solve that issue.
So when I'm talking about this line here that needs to be labeled LDR, and take the word principal off this building line setback.
That should be easy enough.
Yeah, certainly.
Cool.
I mean, when he stamps it, it's
Yeah.
gonna be a little cleaner.
Well, what I'm gonna be recommending is that be corrected before Wendy signs the plan and you're issued a building permit.
Sure.
I would say no.
What, you can't
I'm
make
not gonna
those?
stamp it before. I was gonna stamp it
No,
as an as-built.
changing the LDR and the principal,
If I
labeling
can write it in my
LDR.
hand, I will.
It-
These
How-
guys I can't get these guys to do anything.
Yeah, can he make those amendments by hand, Tara?
That's your call.
It's not stamped plan, so. it's not-
Right,
I asked for a waiver, I'm asking for a waiver from the engineer plan.
right.
So basically, it's just a drawing that I had a layman do, let's say,
Mhm.
and then obviously we can change that.
At some point,
At the point of, after it's constructed, I will have a stamped, engineered, surveyed, as-built plan, showing you exactly where that deck is gonna end up. And at that point, it probably will show a handicap ramp too, And then we'll take the word new off, we'll change the, get the zoning correct, I guess, in there. And the setback, building setbacks. If we could take the word principal off, I'd have to read the bylaws again. I thought it pertained to the, originally I thought it pertained only to the principal structures.
No, it
So-
said all buildings, and I mean, that's all fine, Craig, but we never make site plan approvals based on what you're gonna provide with an as-built plan, because there's no hook on that then.
Well, there is, if I gave you an as-built plan showing this exact, nowhere near where we're proposing it is, would be, I'm sure you have to give me a cease and desist. So,
Well, yeah,
The Oxy
before the
plan is-
as-built, but
it's
as,
the Oxy permit that's the controlling permit, not the building permit.
we just need to, I'm glad Chris is here,
Yeah.
so you can make sure
But
you're on
I'd
the
like
same
to
page.
do a as-built after it's done. We like as-built. Yes.
Right, but the point is, like, whatever we agree to today would need to make sure that that's being followed. If we're gonna make that waiver.
Absolutely, and, yeah, I mean, typically as-bills don't change very much from an original.
Right, and that
But
would just
yeah,
need to be the
there shouldn't any
expectation.
drastic, And Craig knows that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as long as we're all on the same page.
Right, but I need
Unless
some permission from site plan to get my permit.
No, no,
or to
of
build
course.
it, and then give them the as-built.
Yes, I mean, I'm fine with that procedure. Rest of the board have any issues?
The engineer on that should be a structural engineer, I think. I'll make sure that that's the case. Because you got an
The
overhang.
size wise, we don't need, and it's back as open,
But you got a 4-foot cantilever and you're gonna be.
well, that's
putting a lot of
right in the
people-
building code today. A commercial builder would, which we have commercial licensing, which is not necessary in this state. Will build, that's where we're getting that 4 feet pump is right from the building code. It's, again, that's a building code. I don't think we're gonna get a structural stamp for the next 20 years. I mean, these guys are just all right.
I don't think,
It's not a big enough structure to, with the second story, if we're building commercial buildings. Like we're building town square again or something like that. Yeah, obviously, that's an architect will want a controlled build. But this is
So-
not a controlled build.
What engineer stamp
can
were you
get-
saying you would get?
Wendy, I think I can clarify what so I think you're going down a path that's not really relevant right now and talking about an as-built and an engineered stamp and all that. Your requirements are for this plan to have the name and seal of whatever professional prepared it. He's asking that be waived. I think that's fine. And I don't think what he's planning to submit later has any relevance to the site plan approval. I think waiving the name and seal of whoever prepared the plan is fine in this case. I do think you shouldn't sign the plan until it shows LDR and that word principal is removed. It's your call whether that's by hand. I think those are the things that we need to talk about as conditions precedent before he gets a building permit.
Right,
Can I speak up 1 second?
okay.
I just have one question for Greg. Just looking for the first time at the schematic, for lack of a better word, it looks like you could pull the deck further into the existing footprint. So I don't know if the key thing here is for that deck to go over the pond for you, because it would look aesthetically a whole lot better if it was brought in. And the second comment is I don't really see how it can be approved until we know exactly how far over it's going to go from the existing building and over the pond. And this isn't to prevent you from doing it, Craig. I'm not into your business at all. You seem to have done a great job there. So I'm not trying to necessarily prevent anything, but I just don't, this is the first time I've seen it. And I still can't really tell how far out from the building it's going. And it seems like you've got like 11 feet that you could bring it further inside the existing footprint.
You have 6 feet, 6 feet.
I don't think it's starting here. I think you're talking about over towards the dining area.
I don't have the footprint, yeah, but if you're looking from the parking lot where the deck is on the right, if you pull the deck in further from the left, there's room there to do that. Looks like there's room there.
We have 40 acres, we can put it anywhere. But this is where I'd like to put it. I think it works. I mean, I'm running the business. I'm there 7 days a week. We are saying it's 6 feet off the building. I'm happy with that. I think if we cantilever it a little bit, it's still gonna be 6 feet off that building on that corner, and the handicap ramp will be on the other side a little bit, and I think we'll get it in there. By code, we can cantilever over anything without a footing 4 feet. And that's what we're proposing to do. It would
How
be
far-
actually.
How far further out is this?
Further out, but I think 4 feet is adequate for the look that we're trying to capture here. We are big on doing wow factors, and this would be kind of a little bit of a wow factor kind of guy. Anybody can build a fenced in area. I mean, we can corral these people with picket fences. And I don't think that's really what we're going for.
You're trying to entice them to want to be on the deck so
Yes.
you can corral.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. There's a lot of more going into it than just wood and sticks. We've been looking at this for a while now and talking about it for a while. And this is what we're saying. As far as actually where it physically sits there in that property, I'm saying is that we'll pick that all up on an as-built. If she wants me to, since this is just a preliminary plan as far as our proposed plan, what we're proposing to do, the as-built will not be substantially different. And if it is substantially different than what we proposed, it's a cease and desist and we tear it down. I mean, that's well within your prerogative. But at the moment, this is what we're proposing.
Okay.
And if there's a safety issue on it, then I can see the board trying to change this. I think the ADA compliant ramp is a valid thing. I was just trying to think in my head how we can physically do it. That's all. I mean, I'm certainly not, it's actually easier to serve on a ramp than it would be on a step. But I think we can get it. I just got to look at it a little differently to get the ADA compliant on the deck. And I'm not opposed to it. That's all I was really thinking about, was how to get this thing in there.
Sure.
How difficult is it to have a final plan done on a 30 by 20 foot deck?
Impossible.
Well, and the other thing to consider that I think probably the board has in the back of their minds, or perhaps isn't clear to the public, is for a minor site plan review, which would require much less engineering, et cetera, than a regular site plan review. For a minor site plan review, it's a decking of 500 square feet or less. So I know it's in the back of my mind that we're pretty darn close to that minor site plan review, and that is coloring my.
And I did lower, I
opinions
originally
on-
proposed an 800 square foot deck.
Right.
And just with the last meeting and thinking,
Yeah.
maybe we should back this down a little bit.
Yeah, but just, to clarify for folks listening in, at least what's going on in my mind is we're 100 feet away from what would have been a minor site plan review, which would have had a lot lesser regulations for the application. So that's sort of where.
And
my
I would
mindset is.
say probably 80% of this deck is not going to be seen by any neighbors. They might hear it, but they're not going to see it because it is tucked into this building.
Okay.
Just seems like you could tuck it in a lot more, but I understand, it seems to me the big attraction to you for the deck is the fact that it goes over the water.
Yes, without a doubt.
Okay. So just in the spirit of moving things along.
And it's costly. I'll be honest with you, it's going to cost me more money to build this thing cantilever than it will be.
Okay.
I think it's going to be pay off huge. So I'm for this.
Okay.
That's what I'm getting at, I guess, a little bit.
All
And
right.
I think 4 feet, if you look at these tables, it's not that far.
Right. All right. Do we have any comments that we haven't heard before? Anyone who hasn't spoken? Can't see the full online contingency. Yeah, anyone who hasn't spoken online who wants to chime in, or any different points? Okay. Anyone on the board want to make any comments? I'm thinking it's close to time to close the public hearing and move on to our deliberations, but before we do that, any,
Can we maybe outline the conditions you might want to propose to put on there so they can listen?
I can,
the deliberation is still open to the public,
Right.
so everyone would
Alright,
hear
right.
that. It's just a matter of streamlining. Sorry, Tara, what were you saying?
I'll prepare to go through the conditions that have been discussed when you're ready.
All right, so if there isn't any more from the public at this point, I could close the public hearing and move on to board deliberations. If, does board have any other questions, comments that we need clarified? Okay. So I've got a bit of a scribbled list, but Tara, I'm sure yours is more organized. Would you mind going through the conditions we've been talking about?
Lisa has seen my scribbles before, so that means nothing to it. So in the line of thinking that you're talking about, that it's close to a minor, is why I would recommend waiving the name and seal of the surveyor or engineer. But as a condition precedent, I would add the LDR boundary and correct the note to remove the word principal. I'm concerned that that's misleading if you sign a plan that makes it look like that shed would meet today's requirements. The conditions subsequent that I've heard would be no increase in food service seating beyond the current 26, or use of the deck as an entertainment venue, that any changes to the parking, increases in food service seating, increases or changes in activities would need to comply with the site plan review requirements, and that there be an ADA compliant access to the deck.
Okay. Right. Any other thoughts on those from board members? Does anyone else have any other things to add or concerns?
That was the matter of limited electrical power to the
Right.
deck.
Which is one of the ones we had. And lighting, we should just say that he can have the rope
deck
lighting. I learned a new word from my friend over there. The rope lighting or decorative lighting. Those are the right words?
Right, but no other lighting.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
for-
that's clearly the intent.
Yeah.
And I think we should just make sure that is clear.
So would you add that to the second one? Change to lighting beyond the proposed rope lighting?
I would say rope and or decorative
Or safety?
or safety.
It's principally
Yeah.
safety.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but those three words, I think, safety, decorative, and rope, which is whatever.
Right,
that
but
is.
the condition is no other than that.
Right,
Right. That's the
Maybe
language.
no overhead lighting.
Yes.
right.
What, railing to meet code?
I'm sorry?
A railing to meet code?
Yes.
You probably don't need to include everything from the building code in your site plan approval, but
Well, where there's no railing called out. Yeah. I would think,
all right, I'll add that as a fourth to my scribble.
Yeah.
And
I think
I-
the important limitation is that it's for food and beverage service
right.
Yep.
and no other activity.
Right. That was in her first condition
Okay.
listed. Yep.
And I think at some point, because the plan that we're looking at and the plan that we are voting on
Mhm.
does not show what I think is going to be the eventual location of the deck,
Right.
that we should, at some point, get a plan that has an accurate location. I think that's the intent, but it
Well,
should be listed as a condition, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
I guess I'm a little confused. I mean, you're approving a site plan. If it's not in this location, he's in violation and needs to come in for an amendment.
Well, it will be, from what I understand, it will be in this location, but it will be rotated on this lower left axis, which in my mind is
close enough.
pretty darn close.
Right.
I don't see how you can approve it without having a
I'm
final
sorry.
plan for the public.
Our public hearing part is closed. This is just the board deliberation right now. I'm sorry to cut you off.
The reason you do as-built is to clarify what you're talking about.
Right.
But, you know, if you're building a foundation for a house and all of a sudden there was this humongous boulder in it, you want to move it a couple of feet, that's what would happen.
Right. Well, in my mind, it's
It's
also.
de minimis. I think there is within your discretion. If it was so far away and you thought it was way out of what was proposed, you have the power to come back and pull me back in here.
Right, absolutely.
Well within the thing.
Um,
So I think you have the ability to change this, even though you're approving something. It's still gonna be your decision whether or not it was what was proposed or not.
Right.
And that would be a public hearing.
Yeah, and I think we have limiting factors with the ponds, the pond's pretty under that upper right corner.
Right.
And at the building in the lower left, there's
I think
only,
you're gonna see it's gonna get tucked in there, and I think thinking more about the handicap accessible is that what I might just try. I'll just try it. It actually might look just as good, not better, if it was dropped down and create.
okay. But I'm saying there's not a whole lot of wiggle room, even if. we
It's
wanted
certainly
to.
gonna be 99.9% in that location.
And the board could set a tolerance, say, like, if 10% of this structure is outside of the original
Yeah.
proposal, then he needs to come back.
Come back to
I just
automatically
use
come back.
10% as
Right.
a number, but it could be.
And then on the seating part, I think you caught the intention of what I'm asking for. I do want to just say that, or at least put it in there, is that our seating is a little different than, let's say, the seating for a regular restaurant, let's say, is because we have already 3 approved areas,
Mhm.
and we're going to stay within that number.
Right.
All right,
Yeah,
not necessarily, the way the license reads now is we got 24 seats in the clubhouse, which we don't have, we're not using. And then we have 30 seats in that glass patio, which we're not using those either. We're only using 26 of those seats. And then 20 seats open is where we're, and seasonally, so we're all staying within, we have on our occupancy permit right now is 74 seats.
Right.
Right now, we physically have 52.
Right. No, our concern is just that it wouldn't increase beyond your existing seating
Right.
because it would impact your parking.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
that's
So
where
we'll
that's
just
coming
leave-
from.
Like, that would be good language.
Okay. Any further thoughts from the board? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5 conditions.
5 conditions.
Okay.
Do you want to voluntarily put 9 PM or 9:30 or something like that, or you want to?
But
I don't know
I
that
have no, do you have a problem with that?
I actually been pushing for, he's not here right now, is to actually get the whole town to shut down at 10 o'clock. So I can actually say to these wedding parties, we can't legally do this.
I mean, I don't know that it's part of the
Yeah.
deck,
Yeah.
I
I think it's a bigger issue that I would
Yeah.
love to see this town shut down at 10.
Yeah, I would just hesitate to go that far because that would impact his
That would
entire
be a select
business.
board issue.
Well, it'd be a bit, you're gonna change the zoning. you know.
Anyway,
Wendy,
yes,
could I ask again, just so I have it in my notes and to make sure that it goes in the minutes, what the current total number of food and beverage seating is? Because I think that sounds like that's what we want to have in there rather than the 26.
it's 74. So we have 24 with the inside portion, 30 on and 20 in the open concrete patio section.
What if we just said that this new deck does not increase?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
trying at the moment to say 74 total seats on the property.
Okay.
Primarily,
Kind of same thing.
yeah.
We do want to say it doesn't increase, but unless you have in the record what today's number is in 10 years, what
Right.
did it mean?
Yeah, so that
I'm
that should
happy
be
with putting in 74.
reflected in
Okay.
the.
And I think it's important to say that the deck is for 26.
No.
Why not?
It would be. First of all, you can't physically fit them in there on a 600 square foot. But I would say that's the other thing. I mean, it's broken down, and that was something I inherited. I prefer to just say 74 and how I use them. I use them differently at different times. That's what my intent was. My intent is to use the seating differently at different times of the year. And that's what I
Right,
proposed
right.
to do.
Right.
But
It's
as
actually number to number to number, it could get real technical. Somebody
out of-
pulls a seat from inside, outside.
Just out of curiosity,
Which they do.
we're in January, whatever. How could you have 74?
I can't.
Right. That.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yeah.
So that number to
It's
number.
all summertime.
Yes, number to number is relevant, not today, because it's gonna be crappy. But when it's bright, sunny September, you have your 74 and you can use them wherever you want. It's January and it's whatever, you have an issue. Do
Well,
we care?
Well,
So I don't want to write that in.
Okay.
That's just,
Okay.
that's what, we're not proposing a heated structure.
right.
Right.
So I don't think we need to write things like that into it.
No.
I prefer to leave the number of what Tara's saying is that use the number 74, which is the maximum amount of seats that we're allowed.
I'm fine with that.
But since we're approving a deck, all I was trying to do is ask, what's the
The site plan is-
capacity of the deck?
It could be very, I think depends how big the tables are, really, to be honest with
There's probably a weight issue too, right?
you. We maxed this thing out big
I
time.
think that, to me, that's getting into building code issues, and where it's relevant to you is the total number, because that's about parking.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the
Right.
74 number.
So the interesting thing here is if the board is limiting him to 74 seats, we could go out and rate that deck and say, you know, for life safety is rated for 80 people if there's no tables out there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's gonna be, I guess it's gonna be up to Craig to limit the numbers. We rate each area as
Right.
far as space and how it's set up with tables and stuff as far as occupancy. But that's totally different than what he's approved for parking and so on.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. Okay.
So we may get an occupancy for that deck and it says with no tables and just open, you know, a couple of high tops with no chairs. You may be able to get 80, 100 people out there for life safety.
Right, but it's understood that
Right.
that this condition is being put in there to not allow what's allowed in each location
I'm
to
happy
be the
with the
maximum.
74. Trust me, we're not, like, again, we're right, if you walked over this today, it's 52.
Your kitchen's only so big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and the bathrooms are
exactly,
only so big.
exactly. Yes,
I mean, there's other things besides just parking
yes.
that are coming into play.
Okay, great. So are we ready to move forward? We have-
Can I just ask, what was the final condition with the seating, so I can get it down right, like what are we, the wording we're gonna go with?
That there would not, correct me if I'm wrong, Tara, but there would not be more than that, I guess that the deck would not change the current number of 74 seats that are allowed.
Well, I'd cover it more just so that there aren't any corners to think around, and say there'll be no increase in the existing food and beverage service beyond the current 74 seats.
Seats?
Yeah.
Or
74 seats.
So if people are
It's
standing,
seats.
is it more?
Because we're talking food and beverage service.
Right.
So there will not be more, which.
That's
they need
why I
to be
was asking
seated.
the question of
Right.
seats compared to capacity.
Right.
Well,
Yeah,
You
so
don't,
that's-
you don't really have any way to manage that now, so I'm not sure the deck changes
Okay.
that.
I was just,
Yeah.
You gotta
This-
start somewhere, and that's.
I think that was Chris's
I
point.
don't have a problem with 74.
Yeah, okay, great.
I don't count the ones when Terry's passed out on the floor.
Oh, all right. So if anyone would like to make a motion, I think we're all on the same page here. Oh, God. You can do it, Nancy.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Nancy.
Okay, so make a motion to accept the
Or
site, or approve, actually, the site plan application submission with the 5 conditions as we've just stated them. Do we have to actually go through them?
I think we can say as we've stated.
Okay, as we've just stated them. I think that's it.
You want to add the conditions precedent as well?
Oh, conditions precedent.
as well.
Subsequent and present.
And that was correcting the adding the LDR notation and correcting to remove the word principal. And the other 5 are conditions subsequent.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the conditions precedent of
Relabeling, basically.
of relabeling and removing the 2 principal words, the word new from the shed, adding the word LDR on that section, and then the 5 conditions subsequent. Conditions subsequent.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All righty. All those in favor?
Mike Capel, aye.
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 John Rissing, aye.
And I.
Okay. So if you can just provide us, Craig, with the corrections for the wording and in whatever capacity you can do it, just make sure it's legible. Okay. Then it looks like you have an accepted plan. Okay, great. Thank you, everybody. Thanks everyone for joining online. We did that. Moving on, I'd like to switch around our old business, just because I feel like we should attack the master plan where have a little more energy. It's not gonna be a rush. So, Tara, would you like to lead us on the master plan with where you're at and where we need to be at?
All right, let me get rid of this. Oh, no, that's bigger.
We could, talk through the goals that I sent out. I think that would be a good thing to tackle today. I sent out kind of the homework for the facilities subcommittee as we talked about. Does everybody have the draft goals that I sent out? I can put on the screen too, if that's helpful to Lisa and Rob.
I didn't print them out. If you wouldn't mind, that would probably be easier. Thank you. So Alicia's just gonna go print those out, Tara.
I'll get it on the screen for people online too. All right, so I have it on the screen too, and I received a comment from Bill Larson that I wanted to recommend on number 4. Get it a little bit bigger here. He suggested, and I think it was probably a good comment, instead of having the piece about the gondola that was in the last plan, to replace it with something like an environmentally friendly transportation solution will interconnect all venues and residents.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's even
Yeah,
better.
that was good language.
I actually had a thought. Number 1, Waterville Valley will continue to be known as a vibrant small town built around snow sports, nestled in beautiful blah blah blah. I wonder if we should make it more year round.
Yeah,
Because
I had a
not just
problem with the
snow
word
sports,
snow.
but yeah, just recreation, outdoor recreational activities or something along those lines.
Last time I looked, I think it may have changed, I don't know. But
Wait,
last time I looked, there were actually more visitors
Yeah,
in the summer than there are in the winter.
But I mean, maybe what you're trying to get at, which I thought you're trying to get at, was not that we were built around snow sports, but that our origin was snow sports.
I think that is the reason that, so this is a combination of what I heard at the visioning session and what I saw in your previous plan and what I saw in the drafts that people were working on. So yes, I think originally it meant built as in built originally, but if that might be misleading now, that probably makes sense to change it.
Because
in that case,
Four Seasons.
in that case, I would take out built around because that's it was those sports, but would focused on or something like that be better?
I think like found like our
I think
we were founded like our recreation was founded on snow sports.
but also hiking. I mean, well,
Yeah.
before snow
Yeah.
sports, hiking. was-
I would just say we're built around
Fishing, yeah.
recreation
Yeah,
and stop there. That was my feeling.
Yeah.
I think he's right.
Outdoor recreation? Do you want the word outdoor or just recreation?
No, I
think
wouldn't even say outdoor.
I think
Oh,
outdoors key
I
though.
would,
Well, we have the athletic center.
but we're not founded on the.
That's true. We're
athletic.
not founded on the athletic center.
Right.
But
We're founded on outdoor recreation.
That's the reason people move here, is
Yeah.
for the outdoors.
Yeah.
that's true.
But maybe that's a reason to take outdoor out of number 2.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah, I would take it out of number 2 because the Four Seasons then I think includes the rec center.
Right.
Um,
And yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
okay, that's better.
You take a public comment here, this?
sure.
Yeah, I would, obviously. I dare say that the valley produces more revenue than the ski area. By far.
Revenue,
year-round.
just, you mean generates more revenue
Yes.
dollars?
Yeah. Definitely.
Do we know this? I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know this is.
Yeah,
We know this.
we know this.
And is that because the ski area is managed in a way that
No.
is not producing as
No, it's
much
just
as
a
it
different-
could?
It's just different time.
Yeah.
Sure. Right.
We-
It's
they're
nothing to do
more-
with-
You only have 3 months.
Yeah, they're
4 months, 5 months, whatever. compared to-
It has nothing to do with what, but I'm not depicting that. It's a very difficult business to run, period. I think they're doing about as good a job as you can do on difficult business. I just say, I know for the fact that the revenue generated down here is way more than what they're generating.
Right.
And that's been changed, that's changed.
As an observation, though, that's usually true. Ski areas aren't carrying their own weight, but everything else tends also to go downhill when the ski resorts close. They remain the anchor even when they're not the main income generator.
Sure.
Property values really go through the,
Be like if you lived in Natick and you price your property values to the Natick mall, that doesn't happen in Natick. And it doesn't really happen here because it's property values increased drastically this last year. It had nothing to do with how much snow or how many people in the ski.
Yeah, that was,
Perfect example of economic. How
that, God help us, that was,
But not to go too far down a path,
yeah.
but why don't we just keep reviewing the goals as the draft here? See if there's any more feedback.
Excuse me? Lisa?
Lisa, yeah.
Yes, I'm looking at number 4, and it says it will make automobiles unnecessary. I don't believe that. How can I get my mail packages from the post office when I live way up on top on the hill? I can't carry it.
Yeah, I think this is more trying to be around the village area maybe, or the town center.
Okay.
What's a better way for us to say this instead of around town?
Yes, should be shown. Because otherwise, people think, like Cascade is far away too. So might be misleading.
I would talk about minimizing the
Yeah,
need for automobiles.
yeah.
We said, if we started the sentence with Bill's environmentally friendly transportation system and said
What if
including,
we just said, that- what,
Wait, let
take the
Tara,
word,
let Tara finish.
yeah, I don't have to use that, excuse me, I'm speaking tagline. If we add a qualifier in here, something about sidewalks and paths, we could get rid of this first part, something like this. This isn't quite right yet, but something more like this,
Sorry, I can't read that.
an environmentally.
what if we took out, what if we said the interconnecting with sidewalk and paths will make getting around town more efficient? And take out the question of automobiles.
Well, Bill, can you read me what number 4 says now? I just can't see it.
I can read it to you.
Okay. No, what she just made changes
An
on the
environmentally
screen.
friendly transportation system, including sidewalks and paths, will
Yeah.
interconnect all venues and residents.
Oh, yeah,
That's what I
that's
was saying,
good.
take out the
Want me to read it?
concept of
That's
automobiles.
okay. Nancy got it. Thank you, though.
Nancy's vision is good.
How's that?
Yeah, I like that.
I like that better. Take out the concept, cars.
Good catch, Lisa. Some steep roads in there.
I have a question on number 8. And I like the concept of low taxes, obviously. But our taxes, huh?
Yeah, there you go.
You know where I'm headed, our taxes are going to go, assuming that everything goes forward the way it appears, with a $20 million odd water treatment plant, our taxes are gonna go up substantially. All right, so I love the combination of low taxes, I'm just not sure it's true.
What about controlled tax rates?
Okay, I just don't like the word low.
Like, because we're keeping an eye on it.
You, compared to the rest of the state, you have very low tax rate. What if we said relatively low tax rate?
I understand, I'm just not sure that when the $20 million water treatment plant and what was it? $3 million, $2.5 million roads or more.
I understand what you're getting at, but maybe the word managed.
I don't like the word below, I like controlled, I like managed.
Because we don't know what
Right,
the
I
future
like,
holds.
I
but
just
managed-
don't want to put something in there that,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying?
I hear what you're saying, but I don't think the rest of the sentence works if we make that minor change. I think we want to change the sentence a little bit.
Why don't we make it lower? That makes it comparatively low, because I think even with the addition of those inputs, that it's still going to be relatively low compared to other places. It might not be as
Why don't we
low.
just take it out?
Make a comment a little bit about it. Read this just without living here or anything like that. I would be looking at it as a developer. Most developers go in with a plan and then there's a tie-in fee. And that's what this says to me is that if I went in and wanted to build 13 condo units, I would have to contribute X amount of dollars to the septic treatment plant initial purchase, unlike having every neighbor pay for it equally. And that's what most communities, you would pay a tie-in fee. So if you were to propose a condo unit to be built in a complex, you would chip in $5 grand, 10 grand per unit, part of the permitting process. And that's what I think that's what that really is saying right there. That's what it should say.
Was that your intention with
I
that?
doubt it, but that's what it should be. The
That's part of it. I think that's part of it in talking about decisions about development.
If I'm proposing to build, you know, a hotel or something, I would have, why should I not pay into that treatment plant? Because now I'm gonna generate 3,000 gallons a day,
Right.
you know, to a facility that I have actually not paid into. You know, I mean, go down to Florida, they've got all their fire departments and their schools all paid by development. In most towns, there is a tie-in, huge tie-in.
Okay.
And I would leave that in there, and that's how you get the lower tax rate.
It's one way. There's a lot in there. I'm just not with you yet on the difference between lower and relatively low. But I'm the one that said we shouldn't be wordsmithing today.
I don't like either.
I just raised the issue because I know what's,
No, yeah.
we all know what's coming.
Well, and where are our priorities? Is the low tax rate the priority, or is making sure that our facilities and infrastructure are upkept?
Are not more than upkept, are first rate.
Exceptional.
But
Yeah.
it's the latter.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's the
Well,
latter.
no, in this goal, and again, these are goals, is the goal is that decisions carefully consider the impact of services and facility changes on the tax rate, really.
Right, and that's where I think managing or
That's not really
controlled
true.
or
Reasonable.
well, that's why we do the CIP so far out, so we
Yeah.
can, you know, move things. We have that percentage that we try to stay most years within. So we do try to manage it.
It is, we do pay attention to it.
Yeah.
All right, but keeping it low is not always our consideration.
What can I could do this later, but what if I turn the sentence around so it's that the impacts of decisions are carefully considered, impacts of decisions on the tax rate, something like that, so that we don't say low, but the impacts are carefully considered.
That's true.
And I do want to use the language about outstanding services or facilities, because that's a really special thing. You are very unusual to be a small community with the level of services and facilities you have in the low tax rate. That's one of the really special things about Water Valley, and I don't want to lose that in rewording. So let me turn it around to the next draft.
It doesn't mean, true. I think, I'm not so sure we have to take it out. After all, it is a goal. It doesn't mean we have to, we have
We have
achieved it.
to achieve it.
Well, no, I mean, it's our goal. So I mean, do we really have to take it out? I mean, it is our goal to have low tax. rates.
No, I know what you're saying, Nancy. I just, when I saw it, knowing where we're going, that's the only reason I brought it up.
Yeah, but that's, and it's only because our hand is forced, because this, you know,
That's true.
it's 40-year-old, you know, waste treatment plant, but our goal is to have low tax rates.
We're still gonna be lower than any other town around us.
Yeah, I kind of like, I want to keep it in, because I do think it differentiates us.
Okay.
So so I won't turn it around. We'll leave it like this.
Oh.
Okay.
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 Yeah.
Well, some of these goals are good. They're all good, right? But this is where this comes into play is if you wanted to change some of the zoning.
Well, this is where we're working on our
to
master
reflect
plan.
What is in the master plan. So,
Well, this is working on our master plan.
right, but you would also, if you came through with a zoning amendment, it would hopefully, one of my arguments would be it would reflect what is in your master plan.
Right. Right.
So that's where this actually is very important. This document is very important in that respect. That's the only time it really comes into play.
Right.
To say, well, this is what your goals are, and this is what I'm proposing to change or amend in the zoning district.
Right.
That's what we planners all hope you do.
So that's why, that's the most important part of this whole document.
Same as the goal of energy independence, carbon neutrality, and zero waste.
So when I come in for a nuclear power plant,
I think that's a great idea.
All right. Any other comments on the rest
Hydro
of
power
these?
on Mad River.
Well, I think, yeah, for the most part, these goals look great.
And again, you'll revisit them when you have a complete draft. We may see some that need to be added based on what we think about in the different chapters.
It's nice to have a nice list of goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never seen them laid out so nicely.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Okay.
feel like we've accomplished something already.
And by we, you mean Tara, but yes.
Yeah. Yes,
It's
we all agree, so that's good. We agreed on Tara.
There you go.
well, the input came from the community, your existing plan, the visioning session, and the work that you guys did on your chapters so far.
Okay.
On number 12. And I know this came from the ability, but we go back to the definition of affordable homes. And what that means, for example, compared to surrounding communities. Huh?
affordability of the units are set by the median incomes.
Right, I mean,
It's
our
nothing to do with
median,
community.
yeah, our median income is,
No, it'd be the state.
right. Our median income is substantially higher than surrounding communities and or the state.
But think about how I worded it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't say you could pull it off, but it should certainly be on the radar.
no, I
Yeah,
wasn't saying
no,
that.
I think
just-
it's good.
just-
What it
More
would do
reasoning.
is like in the recreational zoning, we could have, we've already changed the zoning, allow managers apartment or well unit actually. We could actually add, we could come in for, to allow workforce housing in a recreational zone or something. Thus, that's where that would come into play.
Well, it
would
applies
be-
everywhere. I mean, I have two staff who are desperate for housing.
No, my
You
point
know,
is-
knowing that the goal is to
Yeah.
continue to keep
But
affordable
you have to-
housing and,
My point is, I would come in here with us, how to satisfy that goal.
no, I understand that. Yeah.
I understand that, that would be, that would come down the line.
This is an important thing
Well, we kinda
to
do.
keep in there.
So it's, I think it's quite important to stay the way it is.
Good goals. Okay. What else do you have for us, Tara?
That's all I needed from you on the master plan today.
Wow.
Thank God.
That's good.
Do we have any homework for next month?
No, I'll be, I'll be dealing with the committees with that. Right now first.
I'm sorry?
I'll be continuing to reach out to the different working groups
Okay,
specific to homework.
great. Okay. Can you excuse? Yes, thank you. Thank you. for checking. Now, I'm scrambling things up again, just I think we can get it out of the way. The low density residential zone, the review was requested by Bill Larson, who isn't here. So I would kind of be inclined to push that to next month, unless if anyone wants to do that now for a particular reason.
No,
we're okay doing that next one.
Well, since he was the one that brought it up, I think he should probably
Be
be
here.
here.
Yeah. Okay.
Anything
So,
wanted from me on that? Or is that
Um,
a discussion?
I think it's just a review of where we're at, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. But with that, I'll remind all the board members to pick up your updated zoning if you haven't already done so. Right, those are upstairs, Alicia, right?
Yeah, we can just print off of the website.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, Great. So we'll get to August. And then head on here to revisit the discussion on food trucks. Now, I know we had heard from the select board as to how they're moving forward with licensing, etc. Someone's gonna have to refresh my memory. What was it that we needed to revisit?
The question became the difference between a food truck that is owned and, for example, the resort food truck. Where the resort can have that food truck located on resort land because it is their
Right.
land and their food truck, as opposed to bringing in an outside food truck and using it on your land. And we were talking about what you could and could not do in that area. That's what we were talking about.
But isn't it kind of clear? Like what do
I
we
think
need
it
to?
is. I think it's clear. I mean, so.
I mean, except it was just in my memory that Rich had gone over the different select board processes for food trucks.
That was
Maybe I'm sorry if I'm missing something.
I
but I just-
had in my notes that agenda item requested for July meeting. Food trucks.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, and is it,
I think was the select board looking for some sort of recommendation from the planning, but I don't really recall. I don't understand why the planning board would be taking up the issue if there's no application or anything like that in front of us.
Right,
Well, there was discussion about the rules pertaining to how long a food truck could remain on property.
I thought that was in
But
the
we made that
licensing, though.
clear, that, basically the food.
I'm trying to answer the
you
question.
No, I
You
know.
couldn't bring a food, if it's your food truck, you can do it there. If you bring a food truck in from the outside,
Yes,
it is not a permanent structure. It has to go away and then it could come back, but it couldn't be
And those are all rules that the select.
those are
has
all
come up
rules that the
with,
select
not-
board was gonna do.
I
Yeah.
think that's correct.
And I thought that was what we kind of said. I thought.
Okay,
We got
Um,
past the problem of our food trucks appropriate,
well, this might
and
be
we
another,
decided yes.
I don't see Rich on there anymore. And I suspect he would remember more clearly if the select board was looking for something, so perhaps that if we need to discuss it further,
Last
we
week.
can do in August, yeah. And check in between meetings. So I'll be better prepared. if we do these things. Sorry, my apologies, just. Okay. Committee, committee. The town core group has not met. Is Mark on remotely upstairs or is?
11 meetings, maybe out of the meeting. Don't-
If you could give us an update on the grants and things, that would be great, if he's available. 'Cause, yeah, the town core group hasn't met, we're still kind of just sitting back with things being as they are financially. The main thing in the works is the road improvements, and I don't know where we're at. I know we have to wait to hear if we received a grant or not. We can't start the work and retroactively get it
I don't
covered.
think they
So-
can get the grants until the infrastructure bill.
Yeah.
Is passed and, well, what I do there is they roll.
Right. So I don't think there's an update there, but just to double check here shortly. Did anyone have anything else? No? None? Okay. Just to cover our next meeting. Oh, it's a calendar here now, right? So August 12th, right? 12th. Our next, okay, so I will assume there is no update for the grants. We didn't have any communications, is that right? Okay. So our next meeting, August 12th,
Correct.
8 o'clock, we'll continue to do the hybrid meeting. And I mean, the only thing I'd like is everyone to keep an eye on is if we do have a public hearing, that we make sure, yeah, of course, every meeting, we just make sure we have a quorum present. But it definitely came to the forefront of my mind that if we have a public hearing where folks need to recuse themselves, we've got to keep that in mind, that we've got to make sure we have a quorum for getting through any potential public hearings as well, as we continue with this style of meeting. If there isn't anything else, would accept a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Awesome. Great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Tara. Thanks, Lisa.
So it's the zoning, it's the updated zoning ordinance or substance.